Hello, everyone. This is Ruben from inside of our tour van. Welcome to the Dante Elephante podcast. This is episode 88 with Ryan Pollie. Ryan Pollie is back on the show, and this could be a good episode, except for one kind of major / minor detail. Like I was using a different kind of camera that I just bought, and it just didn't come out great, or maybe I had the internal settings messed up. So the video side of this is just Ryan. The audio is both of us. I think that turned out fine. This was a weird day. And before I get into this, Dante Elephante is on tour. I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who came to our show on Saturday at El Cid. With Paul Cherry, Fontaine, and J.W. Francis. We played the Born Losers Festival, which was... It went off without a hitch. It was really cool. It's kind of rainy day today, huh? And it was great. I had such a blast, and it was so great to play in LA. I've never played at El Cid before, and it was really fun. I had a good time, and a bunch of people were there. I got to, burn the oysters, and it was just cool to see all these people who haven't seen Dante before, but, we're all friends online. And yeah, shout out to everyone who came out to the show. It was really cool to kind of see everyone, and hopefully they enjoyed Dante's set. We played a bunch of new songs. We played 7 new songs. We started the show with Never Trust a Junkie, ended it with Call Me, played Vegas, Find Somebody to Love, and then the rest was just new. I was fucking nervous. Like, I haven't been nervous for a show in like a really long time, but come catch us on tour. Dante Elephante is on tour. We're going to be in tour this summer going across the United States, and we also just announced June 8th in Santa Barbara. If you live in Santa Barbara, which I think a lot of you do who follow the band, but come on out. We're playing with Antonio Barrett and Jacob Cole, our very own Jacob Cole on lead guitar. He's playing with his band first, and then Antonio, and then Dante Elephante. We're going to be kind of using this show as like, that's like the big test run. And so far I've taught the band about like 7 of the new songs, and we're going to maybe learn about like another 4 or 5 to really get the album done and to really play this thing live, and then we're gonna hit the studio. Like, it's just gonna be like boom, 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 and then after the studio, I'm gonna go right on the road with Hot Freaks. We're gonna be all over the U.S., starting in Chicago, ending in Phoenix, a big loop around the United States, and we're hitting all of our favorite spots: Boise, Portland. All the dates are on sale and available right now. Get tickets at DanteElephante.com. I know we have a low ticket warning for Santa Ana and Houston, so tickets are moving quick, and we are playing LA again at the Echo. And I think we have another show announcing soon, but that was pretty much it. Ryan Pollie, this episode I did with Ryan Pollie at my old office space / studio that I had in Sierra Madre. It was in Sierra Madre, a little outside of Pasadena. And when the crazy thing about this interview that day, because this is from before I left on tour with the Rubblebucket, the most interesting thing that happened was that I popped my tire, doing a U-turn onto that street. So I did a big U-turn pop. I've never popped a tire before, but I hit the curb, and we started the pod in the middle of it. AAA showed up because I didn't have AAA either. Can't believe I'd been touring without AAA, but it was kind of a hectic and chaotic day. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but this episode is good. Ryan and I haven't talked in a while, and Ryan was on he's one of the first guests on the show when we started doing this show before the pandemic, and it was really cool to finally connect again and talk to each other, because we haven't talked to each other also in a little while. So yeah, it's a nice long episode. Dante Elephante is on the road. I'm making some new merch right now. We're gonna start making another record. I don't know what else to say. Enjoy the episode, and talk soon.
You just picture like a sauna. I get you. Yeah. It has a relaxing vibe.
Yeah, it's I haven't really said where I'm doing these episodes at, but we are in a beautiful part. I guess this is in LA. I saw a TikTok recently saying this is not LA. But how do you feel about this area? I
mean, when I moved to LA, I thought it was one vibe.
Yeah.
I think I thought it was downtown in Hollywood.
Right.
Growing up
that's
in
LA.
The East Coast.
Yeah.
I was like, that's where we're moving. And so we got a place in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And immediately realized there are so many neighborhoods and different feels, and out here it's feels more like suburbs.
Totally.
But where I'm at in Eagle Rock kind of has that same vibe, but like you would consider that LA. I mean, I think it's still LA, but it's just like not downtown or Hollywood, which I would never want to be there anyway anymore. Right. So it's like cool.
It was either this location or downtown LA.
It's my experience of LA. It's like this kind of vibe. I feel like 100%. Although we're closer to the mountains, it's quieter.
Super close to the mountains. Yeah.
It's amazing. Oh my God.
I want to live over here.
I was thinking about it. Yeah. I was driving down this road. And there were just these like beautiful trees lining the road on the way here because I avoided highways. Yeah. Because my car needs some work. Right. And I drove by Pasadena High School with the big bulldog. Have you driven by that? Oh my gosh. I was like, press photo. Yeah. Because it was like
the marketing mind always working. It was
this huge, amazing typeface, this bulldog, and this like very simple building. Right. And then behind it, just like the Sierra Madres. Oh, like huge.
I love it.
And I was like, whoa, this looks like a movie. Yeah. You know?
Oh, it's beautiful out here, man.
Yeah, I like it. So what's your connection to this spot?
I just, like I said, or telling you before, I found it on Craigslist, and it was either this or like a studio thing in downtown LA. And I don't know, I just always liked it out here, man. I've always loved this area.
You've spent time here before.
Yeah, and like Pasadena-ish. And I've actually never been here before.
This town is cute too.
This particular little town is crazy.
So have you walked it yet?
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten food.
Almost like just weirdly reminds me of Santa Barbara.
I know.
Is that weird to say?
It looks so much like Santa Barbara, and this is fucking.
Which is adorable.
I don't even want to say the street, but the street.
That's what I mean. When I parked, I was like, was reminded to going to Joey's practice space. Yeah. That one that's like was next to the liquor store.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, where? And just seeing you like put me in a Santa Barbara state of mind. And so I think
Oh, for sure, man. So this place reminds me a lot of Santa Barbara. It feels like it's the most logical step for me. Yeah,
I guess. Except like you have such a cool thing going on in Santa Barbara.
Oh, I love it there, man. Like
it's like, it's wonderful and wild to watch you claim that place as your home and celebrate that place as your home. Right. And watch the community around you celebrate. Just like it's from a mile away from LA to Santa Barbara, it looks like you play Santa Barbara and it's like prom.
Yeah, no, it's a big it's like not high school reunion, but like a reunion. It's like wild. The last two shows we did, I made it a big deal because we were recording a live record, and it was so great to see all these people, even if they haven't like followed Dante in a long time. Yeah. But because I like organized getting the original members back together.
Yeah, the
people I haven't seen in forever, who maybe fell off or really like the old stuff and haven't kept up with the new. It's so just cool. It's the ebbs and flows of a career, right? Like you gain new fans, you lose old fans, like whatever. But like it was cool to see everyone come back and like a bunch of faces I hadn't seen before. I haven't seen you at a show in a while. Like,
I know,
because they loved that moment.
Yeah, that's just so cool to me. I mean, do you notice that like you've reached a new height or sense of community there post-COVID than you did pre-COVID?
I think certainly there's something along those lines. I feel like I'm also in a position now where I am one of the more successful bands out of Santa Barbara. So people look to me for like guidance, like, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like, oh, we want to play LA. How do we do that? So I am in a position that.
Was that a switch from pre-COVID to
post-COVID? I was the guy looking at the gardens in Via.
You were still that guy like, back then too.
Kind of, yeah. Like I would give like a little bit of advice.
If I was coming to Santa Barbara, I would
reach out to me. Yeah, totally.
But you think now you're more of that.
I think I'm definitely more of a resource.
It's not just me hitting you up.
No. I think I'm definitely more of a resource for the younger bands. And like I said, when I was younger, Gardens was my resource. Yeah. I would ask them questions like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like Dave, like how do I get on tour?
Nicer
like,
people to be asking.
Totally. Like, how do I make this happen? And they were always like really gracious with their time and like, put me on shows when they could. And I try to do the same thing. Yeah. So it's just like passing it on.
I asked that kind of because I've noticed, at least in LA, that in my experience, that I've had this kind of switch from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, where there's a certain sense of community and coming together over music that I didn't have. I mean, it was there before, but I feel like I'm a part of it more than I ever was. Right. And that feels really good because it's like not just the sense of who's playing,
right,
and who are we going to see,
and what
like,
does it mean?
It's kind of just like see at the show and like support each other and that level of community of like, oh, you know, at least there's this kind of feeling. And it's been more fulfilling, I think, than any sort of digital engagement that I've had over the years, or
during the lockdown,
or even before.
Oh,
I mean, like the idea of releasing a single and it doing well, or like getting press, or just all the things, all these metrics for what I wanted. I think this sense of like, oh, the next time I put out music, like I have all these like people around me that will show up and engage with it in real time, and they're real people and I know who they are. Yeah. That's been really fulfilling. I think you have that in Santa Barbara too, where it's like, even though we all want to grow and like reach a lot of people, you'll never have that sense of like, these are the people from home, or these are the people that I like recognize their faces that are showing up, listening to the music, giving me feedback, and I feel comfortable around them. Right. That's the other thing, like to feel comfortable around people that are engaging with your music. It's no longer this like performer fan thing, which I don't think I'd ever feel comfortable with anyway.
And I think this thing has helped a lot with that.
Yes.
Like people, like when I go up to shows, like before everyone just called me Dante, and that still happens. But for the people who listen to the podcast, they know my name is Ruben, and they know what I was going through, and they know like they keep up and they know me a little bit more because I'm just like myself.
Yeah,
like
you become less of a performer.
Yeah.
And then when you go on stage, these people can celebrate you performing.
Like, he talks about the struggle and, you know.
Yeah, but on the back end of it, they know who you are.
We could celebrate the successes with him because we're part of
that's
the
really cool.
And that's what I like about the podcast. Yeah. And then like I've like in the last year, things, you know, the reopening of like touring in the music world, like really, like, I don't know, it was a lot to take in. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm on the road again. Oh shit, I'm not doing the things. Like I had such a rhythm in the pandemic, and then like getting back on the road, I was like, oh, I wasn't doing the podcast anymore. All these other things.
Like right after things reopened.
Yeah, I think we played the Echo like July 2021. And that's when things are kind of...
Yeah, like masks.
What are we doing? We're wearing masks at
Oh my
the
gosh,
show?
I'm so glad I'm on the pod now.
Yeah.
Because like we're finally at the time where we can be like, what's been up? And it's not just like human suffering. Like I can be like, oh, I've been working on this project. And it's not just like that. Remember those conversations where you would avoid that question?
Oh, yeah.
Where you'd be like, hey, good to see you. Like, I'm not going to ask what you've been up to. I'm not going to ask you, how are you?
Because we're all doing kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Because we've all been terrible.
Yeah.
And so we're at this point where it's like, yeah, we can reach back and talk about that experience,
like,
but at least
like
I can
very weird 3 years.
Yeah, but at least we can like have this like, okay, so you went out after COVID, like we're starting after COVID. Like, that's such a relief.
Dude, it really is. Like I can't believe it. And I was the type of person, you know, ultimate optimist, like, oh, this will be done soon. It'll be over soon. Like I like put off applying for unemployment because I was like, it'll be over soon. And then like I was just like draining my account, like, oh, this is not going to be over anytime soon. Like, so I didn't get unemployment till like May because I believed in my heart of hearts.
Did it?
Yeah, I got a little bit of the back. Yeah.
A little bit. They didn't do full.
I don't think I got the full back pay. Yeah.
Oh,
classic.
Man. That's the only way I was able to get through it.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was firmly in that state of like, okay, like the way that I bring in anything is going to be in the studio. Right. And so if the studio's shut down and I'm scared in my room, freaking out, I'm not going to be able to work. Yeah. And I'm not going to be able to provide my service.
Totally.
It's my Back to the Future text.
Nice.
But anyway, so you just did like runs to LA and stuff like that, and already realized, oh, maybe this doesn't feel the way that it used to feel.
Yeah, this is very different. The first moment I got on stage at the Echo, I was like, holy shit. Like it was emotional. I couldn't believe that we were even there.
I got my stage fright back.
Really? Because you hadn't been on the stage for so long?
After COVID, the first couple of shows back were hard. I think the first one we did was this outdoor party. Oh, and it was so great. And the crowd was so great. And we were all so happy to be back and enjoying music. And then I went and had a panic attack under a tree. and it was just one of those things where it was like just my body and experience. Like I wasn't in control of that emotion. Yeah. So I think it's similar to you in the way that just like something flooded
Yeah.
That you weren't expecting. Of course it did.
And like one thing I keep saying too is like, you know, we're all getting to that age of like, what are we doing with music? Like, what's the reason we keep doing it? Like I thought I was going to be able to make that decision when I stopped playing, and then the world made it for you. And I was like, I don't like that. I thought I was going to have that call. Okay, I'm not going to do shows anymore. Maybe I'll just write songs and have a normal life.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the feeling of the world telling me, no, you're done.
That's
it's
so
over
interesting
now. I'm getting you right at 30.
I hear that perspective, and it's like so interesting to come from where I'm at and hear in how you're talking that like the idea of playing shows is so linked to that idea of being a musician.
Right.
And for me, I had to spend years unlinking those and like being like, that's not true. You're not real. And then like, it's okay. You can still do this and not, because I've always struggled with the performance aspect. Like I always loved performing, like being in musicals as a kid. And I like going on stage and playing my songs, but I don't think I'm that good at it. Like you're a natural performer. And I think when I go on there, I know how to do it and I know how to get through the set and I know how to like do a couple things with my voice that people are like, wow, cool. Yeah. But it's not, that's, you know, when you go see a performer, like one of those theater kids that just have it in them and they happen to be a great musician as well. There's that aspect of it that I never truly connected with. And so, and then I started being a studio rat and producing. And so, and then when I got my first record deal, I had a job and I didn't go out. And the record company was like, not
what are you
used
doing?
to
That's
that.
not what we do. Yeah.
They weren't used to that. They were like, we're used to like kids who just like are out on the road all the time. And I was like, oh, well, I just like make records and like play shows in LA. And so that kind of paradigm shift caused a little bit of conflict, I think, in both my business relationships, but also within my psyche of like, am I real? Like, or am I an artist if I'm not going to Kansas and playing for 10 people?
Totally.
And so that was a real struggle. And so when I think that you should just be sure to be kind to yourself that like, totally. You know, that's just an aspect of the artist that you are. Right. You know, and like, I know plenty of musicians that don't tour.
Oh, totally.
Or artists that don't tour, you know?
Yeah. And that was like a big learning lesson for me of being like, of separating me from Dante Elephante, and that is not my identity. It's something I do and I like it. And I'm going to continue to do it until I don't like it anymore. But like, I am still Ruben. I am still me.
Oh, it feels good.
It
feels good.
That's what I took away from the pandemic. And I do this because I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because it's like, oh my God, who am I if I don't do this?
I know.
Which was me
in my 20s.
When I started. Yeah, in my 20s.
Yeah.
I figured out, oh, I'm not Dante.
If you're watching this and you're in your 20s, I can't tell you to snap out of it, but we've been there. I understand 100%. That making a record for you is the worst thing in the world, and you're a perfectionist, and you've gone through 7 mixes, and even mastering it is like did I fuck it up?
What? And then you get lost in the recording. Like, is this even good anymore?
I know. Which still happens.
That still happens.
But I think, the idea that if I cut off your arms and taped your mouth shut, you'd still be a lovely person. Right. If I got rid of your instruments.
I'm still me.
You know, that's a weird way to say that. But I just the idea of like, like the reason we felt special was because of music. And so we held on to that so close. But the reason we are special, I don't think was that.
It was never
I think that's what just made us be like different. But that's not special. Right. Like you can love people and be kind. And that seems kind of normy. But if you do it well, that's very special. Super special. To be very kind and very respectful and very nice and caring. Yeah. Like that's more special than all of the talented music people that I know that are not that. Yeah. And so you start stripping that away. And the fear that I have still within me is the more that I strip that away, the more that it's okay when I don't write a song. Right. And the more that it's okay when I have fun making music on my terms when I want to. Yeah. And the more that it's okay that I'm not shooting onto the top of the charts. Right. But the fear in me is that 20-year-olds who's still like, wait, that's the only thing that matters. Yeah. And that's the only thing we wanted, Ryan. What are you doing? Yeah, that's what we work so hard for every day. Right. Yeah. And so I'm having this battle where I'm like, making ambient music.
Yeah, I've been. Oh yeah, we gotta talk about the ambient because I've been watching from afar. Maxton's been playing in that. I know Maxton.
Oh my God, Maxton Hunter, incredible sitarist.
Yeah,
who's like really doing the effort into studying the instrument
and like learning
its history and being respectful to it.
Right.
Kind of not taking on scales until he's ready to, you know.
Right.
Very cool.
That's super cool.
I remember casually being like, "Let's play in C," and he was like, "Hey, can I talk to you?"
Yeah.
I don't think I can yet. And I was like, this is so sweet. Like, that's fine. We have a sitar. We'll play in whatever key you feel comfortable in. But he's like studying and wants to be respectful to that key. Yeah. And the instrument needs to settle into that key. It's like this whole other spiritual relationship between the instrument and performer that I'm not used to.
I'm not used to
that
either.
And I tripped all over it and like probably insulted it. It was like, yeah, just can you add the seventh? Like, no, like that's against the gods.
Yeah.
No, he didn't say that, but that's funny.
But what was the idea of doing this project, or what is it? Can you just tell us from the start?
So it's called Academy of Light. I did a couple tape loop records. And I've always done ambient music because I have anxiety. I listen to ambient music a lot. I've listened to it at various points in my life when things were dark, and it kind of, you know, I believe in the power of healing in music. And recognize that vocal music and the idea of being like, well, here I am to tell you about my breakup with my ex-girlfriend and this time that I was suicidal. Like it reaches humans so well because it's packaged emotion. But the idea that like non-vocal music can like
evoke in them.
It started to fascinate me. And I think through production, I'm mostly doing songs and I'm mostly hearing people's stories and being like so humbled by these like connections between instrument and voice that I like have kind of been like, oh man, like, I don't know, like I've been very selective of when I want to write songs with my voice.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I don't want to record, and it doesn't mean I don't want to make stuff. And so I started getting into the idea of like, intuitive music, like the idea when you go down and you start playing guitar and you're messing up all over the place and it's bad. Like, what if that was good? Or like, what if that was not good or bad, but just taken as is and recorded and then played with? And that just opened up this whole world of creating things where I could go into the studio, turn the spaceship on and not prepare.
Right.
And just engage with it on this purely intuitive base and make something, go to sleep and not touch it, and then mix it and release it. And the idea of tape loops helped me do that. But that was a very insular project, like a lot of recording at 2 a.m., a lot of like, you know, just getting in touch with like closing your eyes and, you know, that whole process, which we do with songs too when we record them. But then I was like, oh man, I was starting to get into the idea of intuitive music making, jamming, if you will, within the context of this very modal, you know, key center, Eastern kind of vibe where it's like, no, like just C, or like just C and G, like, no, like, but in that way, once you have these like rules or like these parameters, intuitive music making becomes expressive in this way, where if I say to you, you can only play one note, you're like, this is so boring and limited. But then your brain starts creating with the one note, and you realize we have this luxury of 88 keys or however many frets, and we get ADD and bored. But when you train your brain to kind of focus in on like, oh, we're going to be in C for a while, that you relax and you kind of engage with the listening in a way that, like, when you're doing a song and I'm impressing people with my chord changes, the brain, I think, follows, or at least mine does, follows the music in different ways. For example, when I'm stretching or when I'm reading or when I'm driving, sometimes I like non-vocal music. And when I'm in a certain level of listening where I want to hear and connect, and when I want to, you know, really dive in, or like, for example, like a Fiona Apple record, that's not a casual listen. That is an intentional commitment and contract made by the listener. You can't be like, let's just throw on Fiona and like vibe and have a conversation.
Totally.
Yet there is a possibility of listening in this intuitive way. For example, like there's a lot of music that is just like a frequency that you can listen to tons on Spotify. It's kind of woo-woo.
Yeah.
But the idea is you're listening to this tone that is attuning your body to vibrate at a certain frequency, and it opens things up in your brain and in your consciousness. In the same idea, I think the idea of stillness in music is something that bores a lot of people. But I think I've reached this, maybe it's our 30s or whatever it is. I've reached this place where stillness and peace and non-movement but musical expression has become like what I'm mostly engaging with and what I'm mostly listening to.
Nice.
And so I posted on my Instagram and said, I want to do this. It's like those ideas in art where you don't decide to do it, you just have the idea and then it's gonna happen. Yeah. You don't really control that. You just kind of like follow it. And so I just started engineering these sessions where I was like, I'm gonna produce and engineer for free. I'm gonna collect these, because it's my idea. So I'm gonna set up this space for it to happen and invite all these players who are like, this sounds like a cool day to me.
Yeah.
And it was. And a lot of people reported that, they were in dark times and this helped them turn a new leaf, or, hey, this was the kind of musical expression or experience that I've always craved, or, hey, I've never been able to focus in this way on a note, and thank you for, it was it filled my cup, even though I was doing a lot of giving. I mean, engineering these sessions when there were 20 players and I didn't know who was showing up and I only have this many preamps, and oh my gosh, I don't know that much about miking a live room and where to put, because I mostly record one thing at a time or a band doing DI and a couple amps in closets. So this was a new experience for me. So I wasn't the most calm you want to be for an ambient making experience, but you can still engage with it. And we've been doing performances. We have 5 albums recorded, and we've been doing performances at Permanent Records. We're going to play Zebulon. We're going to go down to Long Beach and play Vine this summer. And it's becoming this thing where like I feel like it's grown into this community based, where I still propel it and use that kind of band leader knowledge that we grew up having as songwriters, and produce it and orchestrate it kind of, but I could take a show and not show up and it would still be it, which is cool.
When you're thinking of the instrumentation, was there any thought into that?
I wanted to be acoustic, because a lot of if I go listen to like Spotify's understanding of what ambient music is, like what the computer thinks ambient music is, it's mostly like which is great. I love modern ambient music, but a lot of the stuff that I was like freaking out about was like cluster and Eno and like kind of like early 80s still like analog warm sounding, but these like future sounds, because like synths hadn't really, it was like at the frontier of like the idea of like new music. And so they were, while Pink Floyd was using it, so was Eno, to make these like wild just places to go live. It's like a video game. You like go to this planet for 10 minutes, it's cool. It's like a VR experience. It's more like that than it is like a song,
and it's healing. I went to Desert Days in 2015 or 16, and Al Lover did an ambient set. And, we all just laid down in this room and he played sounds. It was just like, and it was just higher frequency, lower frequency, higher. I swear to God, my feet, I was healed. I was able to walk the whole fest. My feet were killing me. And I sat down for 30 minutes, laid down with my eyes closed, and like, my mind was going crazy. And the frequencies, seriously, I was like, the day had just started again. And I was able to close the night out. So there's something there.
Oh yeah, I was just watching this video,
sound therapy or whatever they call it.
I was just watching this video where this musician / physicist, figured out that there's an approximate tuning to the octave that it's kind of like just temperament. I think it's called equal temperament, where like, Terry Riley and a bunch of heads were messing around with this stuff where you tune it into the Eastern division between tonalities, so the pitches are not like a snark tuner. So this dude tunes a piano to 432, and he plays on it, and all the comments are like, why does this feel so good? Why is this classical music that I've heard before make me smile.
Right.
For the, and his explanation is that it's tuned to the natural vibrations of conscious awareness of the earth, of our bodies, and that 440 is just like a little bit off.
Yeah.
It's like a cheat code.
Yeah, there is like I think I watched a video on that too. Like I can't remember what the year was, but there was a year where we made a conscious decision to go to 440 from 432. And I can't remember the year, but it was very conscious. Like we all just decided we're doing this now. We're tuning pianos to this now.
Okay. Look what you did.
This whole world is.
Yeah, that's where anxiety and depression stems from. It's 440. I'm making only records in 432.
Oh my god. There's a band. I think that there was a band that did that.
Of course. But it's cool.
Like a modern rock band.
It's cool. It's like the idea that like music, it's just music.
Right.
But like, whoa, music, vibration, sound, like this stuff it's a world that you can keep discovering and keep messing around in. And to a lot of the people at Academy shows, it's interesting, it's fascinating and it's different. And for some people, they have these experiences where they're like, oh man, like my back was hurting and now it's not, or oh wow, like I had a really great meditation and I was in a bar watching you guys play, but then I closed my eyes and I wasn't in a bar anymore and I was just hearing the music. Yeah. And how cool is that I was at a bar and was able to achieve that? Right. And there's something about vibration and sound where it's like conquering. So it's like you can be at a bar, but these like sound waves are like, if you close your eyes, you can kind of drift, Yeah. And we all have that experience, like listening in headphones, closing our eyes in bed, listening to our favorite albums.
Totally.
That's been really, it's been cool because I can take a lot of shows too and not feel stressed about being like, well, here I am going on stage with my guitar to connect with people about my life. It's a little bit, I haven't been in a band in so long. It's a little bit more just like show up.
Anyone can engage,
Like, and bring whatever instrument, like what are you bringing this time?
Yeah. Okay. So
it's a nightmare for sound guys.
I'm a nightmare for some people.
But the sound guys have been so lovely. They're a little freaked in the beginning. Yeah. And you have violins? Okay. Oh. Is that a French horn? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You do have a drummer. Okay. How many guitar amps? 6. Okay.
Oh my God.
But then at the end of the show, they're always like, that was really lovely. Because
really?
I always say to them, I'm like, AAA. I always say to them, I'm like,
are they here?
Yeah. I'm like, yo, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to ride my vote. Like, it's just whatever happens. So it's okay. Just no feedback, please.
Cool. Yeah, totally.
Do we want to pause?
Let's pause really quick and then I'll talk to this AAA guy. My tire is flat.
We'll be back.
So we're back, and my tire popped as I was like turning into the street. I hit a curb, and now AAA is fixing. I had to buy AAA just for myself.
I love that the drive into the curb is like one of the funniest moves.
I know,
to watch.
So dumb. I was like so.
No, but it's not that. It's not as. I mean, you can get in an accident, and you didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
But it is one of the ones where it's like,
yeah.
When someone like goes over the curb and then it like slams down on the other side.
I was like,
I've never done hear like the metal crunch or something.
Oh my God.
You've been there when you've seen someone else do it. And you're like, ooh.
I know, and now I'm living it.
But I'm glad it's that.
It's like that Morrissey line. I've seen it happen in other people's lives, and now it's happening in mine.
Have you seen it in other people's lives?
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting new tires literally today.
Yeah, it's a big tire day.
Yeah, so it can't be a chain event where it happens to me on the way home. It just cannot.
It can't. No. I took all the karma for today.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I know this isn't Nardwuar and this isn't a gift, but I brought something. And this is, I got this a while back and it reminded me of you. On the back it says rare. And it's, all these different photographs from the Santa Barbara Bowl.
Oh my God.
But from like our favorite time period.
Yes, yeah.
So like everyone from Jackson Brown to Bob Marley.
Oh yeah, the Crosby Stills. Or Chris Crosby and Nash.
Are beautiful. I mean, I've never been to the Santa Barbara Bowl.
Oh really?
But this looks like one of the most beautiful venues in the country. And can you imagine being this photographer?
Yeah, insane.
being like sides. Look at that. They look like that. Looks like the videos that I try to make with my rock band.
Yeah. Oops.
Like kind of like just
does not look like that anymore.
It doesn't.
Oh, well, that's the stage. It's still the same stage.
Oh, can you imagine?
And now there's a back.
Oh, there is.
There's like like all the stage, all that stuff there.
Could you imagine if it was trees?
Yeah, the trees are still there. Like when you're sitting in the seats.
They just have to take down the backdrop.
They just added more. They just built the stage out a little bit more. But this was definitely a perfect time. The Beach Boys, Joni. Yeah, I think Joni recorded an album there, a live album.
Really?
At Santa Barbara. Yeah.
What decade?
Ooh, I don't know. I think Jacko's playing with her too. Oh, classic. Is that Kenny Loggins?
Yeah. How is that taken at the? It must be. That's at the Santa Barbara Bowl.
Funny.
With the moon and the mountain.
Oh, God. He's doing his final show, his final tour, Kenny Loggins. This is it.
Is he a Santa Barbara legend?
Yeah. He lives there and
oh, really?
Donates a lot and it's just involved. Him and Michael McDonald, both super involved.
What about Mike Messina?
Dude, I own Jim Messina's amp.
Is it Jim Messina?
Yeah, Jim Messina. I own his.
Mike Messina sounded close.
Mike is like his brother.
He must have someone in the family named Mike Messina.
But yeah, Jim's involved too. But a lot of that
is Jim in Santa Barbara. Like when Loggins and Messina, were they a Santa Barbara band?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people retire in Santa Barbara. If you're an old rocker.
I think I have something that belonged to Michael.
Really?
Or at least someone in the Doobies.
Nice.
I have a pair of LP Kungas.
Good. Thank you. Wow, that was fast. Dude, that would have taken me hours. Trying to figure out how to replace the tire. He did it in 10 minutes.
I don't want to hide behind my I'm a musician thing, but I would need to call the tire guy.
Yeah, that's what I didn't even know where that spare was. When he showed me right now, I was like, oh, that's where it is.
Even if you were like, hey, Ryan, I've got the tire, I've got the tools, all you need to do is just change the tire.
Yeah.
Or I would still call the tire guy.
No, totally. I think I could do it. It would just take me forever.
I know.
And I'd be sweating.
That's what I mean.
Am I doing this wrong? What happens if I do wrong? Is the tire going to fall off?
Soon that'll be a robot.
Yeah. Oh, I feel bad.
No offense.
No offense.
No.
Many jobs are turning into robots.
And they should. And they should. They're going to be cleaning the atmosphere in the ocean soon.
Right.
And it's I think it will free people up. Ideally, from suffering through labor,
right?
And the idea that what if he loses his job? You think he likes that job?
Right. He needs it. He likes
I know, but if there's income,
another way,
or at least the cost of living, or if there's other ways to compensate it, then the robots doing it is not a problem.
Right.
It's only that we're worried about what happens to these people, which we should be.
Yeah.
But the concept of the robot changing your tire is not a concept that we should be afraid of. It's just a no-brainer.
Right. I think my take on automation is that automation was meant to make your job easier, not take it away completely. And that's that shit's already, I hate talking about this, but AI is such a big thing right now. And I'm using it on this podcast. I have a plugin that just cuts between the two cameras.
Oh, great.
So why do I need to hire an editor anymore? Why would anyone hire me an editor?
Okay, and the argument there is no, people need those jobs.
Right.
Because that's how they make
income
and that's their identity, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, if you strip away your job as your identity, and you strip away the need to work to contribute to society or to have a place on this earth to live, which you have to pay to live on this earth.
Yeah.
And if you take away those concepts, then the idea of robots doing your podcast or changing your, it's all fine.
Yeah.
And humans are left to do what they should be.
They should be doing. I know.
So I get it. It's this. We have this
whole. It's not going to let us do that.
I know. But that's the idea that we have to tug against, which is how do we protect each other?
Yeah.
And how do we usher in this new effective change to potentially make people's lives better.
Right.
If we embrace this, you were talking about being an optimist.
Yeah.
In this area, I'm afraid of people. Right. I'm not afraid of robots. I'm not afraid of aliens. I'm not afraid of tech.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of people.
Right.
Because we're dumb. And I think that this conscious evolution of being kinder to each other and having each other's back has yet to really happen.
Yeah. I thought it was going to happen with COVID. I thought we were all going to get behind each other and like...
Maybe it started. I don't know. We're in it.
We are in it. Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
So
that's true.
The optimist way to view time is, it's happening.
It's happening. Yeah, that's true. And I think, I don't know, man. I think it all works. I think as long as, you know, the way that I like it is like, that cuts several hours off my time editing this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
That means I can do more of them.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't have to like spend more money.
Or like garden.
Yeah.
Or like see a friend.
Yeah, totally.
Or do these things that are unrelated to like progression on this capitalist base.
Right.
Like timeline.
Yeah.
You know, of like how many things did I do?
Right.
Like how am I keeping up? Like how am I going to live on this planet and afford to? Like
Yeah.
these ideas of connecting with people or with plants or all this stuff, like that's completely separate.
Right.
And compartmentalized as something you get to do when you figured out how to keep the roof over your head.
Do you think about leaving California?
All the time.
Really? I think about it too.
I think about leaving planet Earth.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I
just
really,
to like a cheaper state.
I think that's all it is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know, besides the planet, like the fears about the planet that I have, like California seems to like be like ahead of the curve with natural disasters, with fires and earthquakes, and I'm sure that it's coming for New York. I'm sure it's coming in our lifetime for everyone else, but like California is like the first to maybe like have an event, and that kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, everyone talks about us breaking off into the ocean.
Yeah, and the clean air, and like there are certain things that I get bummed about, but the idea that there's something about California, speaking of natural residencies and like vibrations, like it's all true, man.
There's
like,
something here,
yeah, time and like the weather and like the ocean and the mountains and like and the people here.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so happy I moved here
to
California. I'm sure it's a similar thing in Santa Barbara as LA, because I defined it in LA. But that's what's keeping me here. Is I feel like I'm paying a premium for the cost of living.
Yeah.
And I have to make more money, which sucks to be like, okay, the bar is raised. You have to put more energy and conscious time and awareness into making money. And I think everybody benefits from being free of that, however you can figure that out. But living in LA, you have to do more of that, or you have to get lucky or something. But you get to meet a certain type of people and a certain type of creative mind that, I mean, I can't say because I've only been here, so I'm sure it exists other places.
Right.
Maybe Europe, or like someplace like where, like it's like government is like less of a aggressive, intense thing, and maybe capitalism is less, you know, like there are places with artist grants, in Canada. Yeah.
I was watching this girl I talked to on the podcast, Haley Blay. I was watching her music video. At the end, it said like this music video is made with funds by this grant. I was like, dude, that's what the fuck, like.
Well, because there is
a system like
there is and there was a price value to art and to music. I mean, as recently as the early 2000s and the 90s, I'm saying like even when they were compensating by putting the Apple Music Store together to combat Napster and say 99 cents a song, that was still less than what came before it, which was the CD boom and me spending my allowance at Borders or Tower Records.
Oh yeah,
every freaking time.
CDs were so expensive towards
$20.
Yeah, for something that costs $1.
My friends stole them.
Oh yeah,
and I grew up with friends who had money. And they stole them.
They were so they were getting $25 at one point, like for a new release.
And so, but it wasn't like people rioted.
Yeah,
music was at a premium price and people adjusted. That's how the market works. If socks were always free, and then socks were $20, everyone wouldn't just like go barefoot.
Right.
People would buy socks.
Yeah.
And so the idea is like Spotify and the industry acts like, oh, how do you fix it? Well, you can't go back.
Yeah.
But the fact is, like, when there's money, there's people who can who can change the rules and change the laws and fight. The problem is that artists have never had the money, so we don't know how to do that. And the people at Spotify, it's not like there's no money. There's money. It's just going to to Spotify.
Yeah. Operating costs.
And not to any artist. And at this point, not to any labels.
Right.
And that's why everybody's getting dropped and the whole system is shifting. And it's like, for the past 20 years, labels have been struggling to keep up with this changing medium. And I don't believe in 20 years Spotify is going to exist.
Where do you think we go after this?
I don't know. We're certainly not going to have phones in our pocket. It just surprises me that we even call them phones.
Yeah.
We won't have these computers in our pockets.
Totally.
And I think that, if you want to listen or engage with art, I think you'll pay for it in the way, with some sort of credit system in the way that you would pay for food. But hopefully everything's gonna come down to a reasonable contributing access, where if you're contributing to society by doing art or being a doctor, you're gonna receive more credits because you are devoting your time and energy to helping our communities and our society. Right. And if you stay home and don't do that, well, okay, maybe you have agoraphobia, or maybe you have an anxiety disorder, maybe you're depressed, and that's okay. You're going to have a little bit less credits, but you're going to be taken care of.
So social credits.
Yeah, and music is a social service. The problem is that every musician I meet is so beat down by our generation of people saying, "Hey, welcome to your green room. There's a case of beer in the fridge.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can't pay you, but here's a bottle of Jack Daniels. Sorry, we can't give you gas money. Sorry, we can't." Sorry, you make a record for 10K and then donate it to the void and struggle to even be heard. And people can't even discover it because there's no distribution platform for artists, because you have to pay Instagram to show them. You have to do it in a specific way, which requires making a video based off of TikTok. Right. And Spotify has no kind art. Look at Spotify. It's not a social media platform. No. It is a dull Library of Congress of music that is donated to these billionaires for them to receive any money from all of the history of recorded music. Yeah. And then it trickles down from there. And so these artists have no idea of what it's like to be valued. And that is not good for art making. You know, these benefactors that used to hire people and say, paint a picture of my family, but also stay on our property in the countryside and paint your own pictures and live there and we'll feed you. Like these people, that's what gives people say, oh no, like you need to suffer to make good art. Right. And there are great artists who suffer, but that's because humans suffer so much. But that doesn't mean if we suffer less, we can't engage with art and make things that represent sadness or represent.
I think there's like a Paul McCartney quote about that. They asked him about John Lennon, and he's like, would you trade your childhood for his if it meant you could make better art? And he's like, I would never do that. I would never.
I'd be insulted by that question.
Totally. He was like, why would I? He had a troubled childhood. He would have been a great songwriter if he didn't have his mother run over by a car and all that shit.
Yeah, isn't that a beautiful concept of taking care of each other, giving them a chance to experience sadness and pain in the natural way, not in this way where it's all pervasive.
You went through so much trauma, you must write great songs.
Exactly. There's so much trauma already. And the fact is, if we all lived peaceful, loving lives and took care of each other, we would still lose each other. And there'd still be death, and there would still be relationships ending, and there would still be these natural things to feel sad about. Right. But not like animals being tortured every second, people starving to death every second. Like this unbelievable energy of sadness and pain that we experienced during COVID too. That COVID albums are great, but that's not the way forward. The way forward is to provide artists with a way to feel comfortable, to feel confident, and to feel proud of the idea that they're contributing and they are valued, which is something that artists do not feel right now. And if they do feel it, it's this digital connection of feeling validated by how many people that follow them. And when you show up to a show, you're hit by the lights and there's all these people, and then afterwards you're exhausted and all these people are saying good set, and you're kind of disassociating, and then you go to the green room, and then
you crash.
Yeah, and it's
you
not
have that
this
big
natural.
Crash.
There is a utopian idea of art making, and it involves feeling valued, but also knowing that it's this beautiful thing that we engage with, and it's not a rat race, and we don't need to compete. Everyone's special it's just something to engage with. Right. You could, and again, that brings me back to you could have not done music and you would still be special.
Still be me, yeah.
You could be making movies, you could engage with painting. I'm not sure. You would still probably engage with art.
Right.
but you picked up a guitar or whatever, it led you on that path. But you know, it doesn't make us that special anymore. Or
Right.
I don't feel like that anymore.
I am a big fan of like destroying the myth around rock stars, and like I've done that for my girlfriend. She does not look at bands the same anymore. I'm like, good. You should see us as fucking people who are working really hard to do this thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're still humans. We're still grinding. It's still a grind. It's like it's taking a lot out of us. For some people, I guess maybe it's easier for some artists. Maybe because, you know, they're attractive and they're in the 1975 and, you know, things
they have money,
are different. And they
something.
have,
But the thing is,
they have connections.
I'm never saying why them. I'm always saying
Yeah.
why not the rest.
Right,
you know?
right, totally.
If somebody comes from money, or if somebody wins the lottery and makes art with that money instead of making more suffering and pain, which is what most billionaires do.
Right.
I'm all for it.
Totally.
I'm never jealous of somebody who's making money for art. I celebrate that.
I love it. Yeah.
They go through it because apparently if you want to be a successful American artist, you have to deal with celebrities.
Totally.
So they become successful, but then their lives get turned upside down and everyone's taking pictures of them. They're staring at them in restaurants and coffee shops.
Totally.
It's backwards. But there's a way to make art for the rest of our lives and music for the rest of our lives. And so even if Dante goes away, like you're going to make music forever.
Yeah, totally.
Because you love to do it.
Right.
And like,
do I participate in the music economy?
What economy?
Exactly. Like of touring and making record and doing the cycle, the album cycle. Maybe
20-year-olds.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I
think make your own rules.
Yeah.
And because there's no pot of gold.
Yeah.
I feel like
you could post something on TikTok today and it can go fucking viral for you. No label did that for you. You did it yourself.
It's a good exercise in letting go of control.
Yeah.
Because there's no pathway.
Yeah.
And so don't sign with some, artist management team that's like TikTok if you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But if you do,
or if they don't have someone on their team who will do it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's strange.
I'm doing that right now.
Good.
Yeah, I do it for other bands. They don't want to do it. Don't do it. I'll do it.
Exactly.
Give me the assets.
There are tons
live
of people
footage.
who love TikTok.
I will fucking do it for you.
And there are tons of people who don't.
Totally.
And that's fine.
Totally.
But the idea is it's actually the strongest distribution platform for music.
Totally.
Right now. Over Instagram, over Spotify, over Bandcamp, over anybody who's trying to help us. For some reason, TikTok, you're the one who's helping most people.
Because if
I know anybody in this town who's making money, it's 50%. Coin flip, it's TikTok.
Yeah. It's because they obviously have an incentive. They want people to feel like, oh, I can go viral? Okay, I'll use this app. You know, where the other apps are banking on restriction and you're going to have to pay us to talk to your people.
Exactly.
This one's like, you want to put your music in front of strangers? Here you go.
It's only that.
And it just incentivizes content.
Yeah. It's that wall that's been put up by certain distribution platforms on social media to say, unless you model yourself this way. And that's been happening since Facebook. The idea that if you're
3% of your audience.
I'm not good at Instagram.
Right.
That concept, I'm not good at Facebook.
Yeah.
Like that was new.
Yeah.
To art and to music, you know, and it's fine, but it's like it's not. That's why I would say like it's not. It's so random that you can go buy more lottery tickets and improve your chances.
Right.
And you can do TikTok and that's a lottery ticket. You can make 10 albums instead of one. Those are more lottery tickets. You can play more shows. That's another lottery ticket. And the idea is you're scratching them off and you're only winning $4 at a time usually. But I didn't think it'd be that show where I met that person and now I can buy a house. I didn't know that I would do that collaboration and that would be now I'm making rap albums. Like you just now I'm in the podcast game. Like you just let the energy take you, but the more that you put that energy out there, and the more you're willing to do that, the more it benefits you, of course, with exposure. But at the same time, I know people who are just done with it, who are more likely to post your song the day their song comes out than their own.
Yeah.
And just hide behind it because it seems futile. And it seems like you're spending all this time and effort and you're trying really hard to connect, and then ultimately you're like paying companies to try to digitally connect with people, to try to feel okay about the fact that you just spent a bunch of your conscious energy and awareness on this pretty thing that you want to show somebody, and these companies are telling you no, you can't.
Yeah.
There's
There's like a few other scenarios I've witnessed at my new job that I signed an NDA. I can't really talk about on the camera, but like there's just
CIA. Aliens exist. You've heard it here first. Ruben.
Either way, it's like, you'll make these TikToks and it's like, yeah, okay, I clipped this whole music video up. We got like 10 clips. That's pretty good. Like they're 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever. And then the label's like, we don't really like those.
Huh.
Well, it's not really your decision here. But they're like, well, we got to do what they say. We got to do what they say. It's like, all right, then. I don't know what to do. Then I'll just not post these and we won't talk about the new record and we won't.
That reminds me of just like, that circle of people working for each other, and that idea that like if you have someone working for you, the way that you contribute is to make them do it again, but to make them change it, because then in the reflection of productivity, you can see the ego's contribution in the chain, instead of the idea that inaction can be as powerful as action. And saying, it's good.
Great.
You're doing your job,
10
boss,
clips, great.
by saying, great, thank you.
Thank you.
But they think that they have to make you work again to show their egoistic contribution. They don't, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah.
If it's not the best, it'll be better next time.
Just
based
post
on
it
your
up there.
notes.
Let's scratch that lottery ticket. Let's go. We got 10 chances right here.
Yeah.
Do it.
Or being like, I don't like this lottery ticket. Never mind.
Just pick the best part of the video.
It's the internet. It's the void.
I can't tell you what the best part is. We let the audience decide what the best part is. That's
Control.
That's the collab between artist and audience. Is that like, it's maybe more so in comedy because it's like they have to work their stuff out on stage and like get an immediate like, oh, they didn't laugh at that, they didn't like it this, and us we can workshop stuff in our room until we're like, okay, I feel good about this. But there are certain moments like when you're trying to build a live set, and like you said, with being a great live performer or whatever, it's like I notice like what people reacted to. It's like, oh, they like it when I do this, so I'll do this here, and then I won't do it too much.
In the digital landscape.
In the real life landscape, and like
landscape.
working with the audience to figure out what makes a good show.
Cool.
Where are the pops?
Cool.
And where does it seem like people are just staring at us?
Oh, you're talking about your live set.
I'm talking about the live set, and like even affecting the writing, which is why I like to bring songs onto the stage.
I have picked up on that.
Yeah.
That the show has followed you into the studio.
Right.
The idea of the show.
Yeah.
And I really respect that, and I'm trying to get there myself. The idea that like, okay, this material of like the Elliott Smith, or this idea of like me singing to you my sadness or my stories, that is an approach for sure. But then like that's hard to perform. But this other idea of performing like writing material for the performance opens you up to new energies and new ways to explore writing and writing about joy and writing about, like, and I've watched you do that. And then the idea of, oh, this is going to connect in this venue. When you go into a studio or you're writing a song in your room, you're writing for that room and that experience, that insular experience. But when you're writing and when you have your guitar in your room and you feel like you're in front of a crowd, what comes out might be different.
It could be completely different. What if we did this? And like if we did this live, we could do that. And that might get a pop and people might get excited about that. That's and then, cool. That riff, the solo, like connected with someone, like, cause they yelled. And it's like, okay, that's something. It's like an instant, like, okay.
I really respect vocalists who do this too. Who like write for their instrument. Like I've been lucky enough to work with some vocalists in the past couple years producing their records, where I'm just mind blown that like they'll write this incredible melisma and jump and riff that's like soul or funk inspired or something. That's just like shredding on their instrument, and they're writing for that instrument. Now they can write a song that's just la-di-da-di-da, that's simple and powerful, but they're setting themselves up for like alley-oops and shit, which I'm not really used to doing with my voice ever.
Yeah, that's like, you have to get really comfortable with your voice to start like doing the acrobatics. Yeah, of just like. But
within rock music and rock vocals, that's such an area that I've always been like, oh, I'm
servicing
this slice.
And I'm trying to get the message across. Not so much like this crazy vocal run.
Melody,
it's more like melody, words,
and like simplicity. That's always been my comfort zone.
Direct to the message. This is how I feel.
Not saying it's better or worse.
No, there's
just
no
where
rules.
I went.
There's no rules. But
it's kind of like, I'm exploring coming out of that a little bit. I'm writing a musical, or like writing an album that's kind of being staged as a musical. It's not like a linear like, oh, that's the story necessarily, but it's like very visual.
American Idiot.
It's basically American Idiot too. Yeah. It's not political at all.
I rewrote American Idiot from top to bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I am debuting this at Zebulon at the end of the month, at the end of July, and there's a dancer, and I'm in a costume, and this allows me to kind of sing a little differently.
Yeah.
Because I'm not I'm singing as me. It's still me, but I'm playing this character me that I've watched other people do by putting on costumes or by like just letting themselves be the performer and not necessarily the writer. And it is a different muscle. And I think I'm trying to engage with that a little bit more.
Yeah.
About being like, let's make this a show. Yeah. Because I'm sick of just standing with my guitar and staring at my shoes.
It's
and
me.
Like, yeah. It's a certain energy that's not the most comfortable to sit in.
I keep referencing the fucking Beatles, but this is just how I talk, I guess. Like, but Sgt. Pepper's. Yeah. What is Sgt. Pepper's? A musical, basically. It was not them.
Yeah.
It was like, we're not going to be the Beatles.
New band.
We are a brand new band. Yeah. And that's kind of like that freedom you're talking about, where you're not able to be like, I'm writing a Ryan Pollie record. What does that mean?
I know.
It's like, no, I'm just writing a record as this new thing. And it gives you this kind of like creative license to do anything now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the silver lining of the industry being so bad is I haven't been rewarded for any one thing, really.
Yeah.
So I haven't felt that pressure
to be something
within myself.
This is what people think I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to I think I figured out that Ryan's identity and personality fit really well with like this music that I loved from the early 70s, like kind of this Santa Barbara book, like Jackson Browne, Carole King, like the music of my parents. It felt like, and it felt new for our scene too, to be engaging with that kind of music. We were both doing it, like this idea of like taking the parents' records down from the shelf and like respecting that way of songwriting and production and the singer-songwriter and that fad. But I'm realizing now that I've done it, like that's not me. That's just like a type of music I love.
Yeah, totally.
And so I was rewarded. I felt special. But it wasn't like rewarded enough where everyone's like, what's next for you? Or when are you going to do that again? I like this stuff. Yeah. And so this career, this life of being an artist, I feel, especially from producing, free to kind of go anywhere, which is really cool. And so that's why, I never thought I'd be writing a musical. And I never thought I'd be in an ambient band. But like, that's my contribution now.
And like, interesting choices, you know? It's like... anti-music economy. Like that's not like when you hear ambient music, you don't think, oh yeah, we're gonna hit big, you know. But it's more of a emotional, spiritual enlightenment, and not enlightenment, but enriching.
And feeling. I can engage with it in a lighter way. Yeah. And it's kind of that anti-economy in a way of saying, if you're not going to provide a way for this labor of being the singer-songwriter and the egoistic journey of like being slammed and rejected for your songs, your personality, your triumphs and struggles and personal stories, and to be rejected and treated like an idiot for 10 years. And all of us have this experience. Even the famous people that I know right before they got famous had 10 years of being treated this way. And so if you're not going to reward and provide a path for the people to do that hard work, then why not find a music that is easier to engage with on a day-to-day basis and a little bit lighter?
That you feel, that's like you're connecting with right now. Yeah, and do you think you're getting closer to like the music you want to make that's just you know, it's like takes forever to find your own sound. What's that Miles Davis quote? It's like 10 years to find yourself or something like that. Are you finding yourself?
I like that last part. I think it's more the journey of self-development than it is a journey of musical style, of finding a genre or finding a sound. It's like as long as you're being true to yourself and your impulses and your what you love, and you're trying to approximate that with recording and performance and trying to express accurately like something that you can't go wrong really. Yeah. As long as you're not trying to be someone else. You can't go wrong if you're just making something. It's like going over to someone who's a kid who's doing a drawing and being like, that sucks. Right. It's like, no, it's just engaging with these colors. That expression, sounds. And so I think the further that I honor the space for me to do whatever and find new things and go on these weird journeys. Like I've done this I've been a doom metal guy for a year. I listened to the Beatles for 5 years, I've gone into these really deep phases. And right now it's I'm really exploring intuitive music and ambient music, but that doesn't mean I've found my place. I just think that it means that that's where I'm at
the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, like, yeah, like who knows, man?
Yeah.
You want to start a punk band? Like it's all open because there's no one way to do it. So it's like lottery tickets. Like why not?
Yeah. You never know what you're about to scratch.
If you have it in you to write a punk record and you feel inspired to do so, you better go do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't go like, oh, I have to write a punk record.
Yeah, I gotta.
But if you feel like doing it, that's art.
Yeah.
Even if it is copying someone, even if it is a covers album, even if it is a shot-by-shot remake of Taxi Driver,
right? Whatever
you want to do, inspired by, taken from. I feel weird that I said like, you know, that idea of finding your own voice. I think there's something to say for connecting to someone else's voice and expressing a connection through art, through learning someone's song or imitating them. That's all fine with me. So I don't think we should have this reward-based system of have you found your sound yet or have you arrived. We should reward the finding or reward the process, the journey, and not be too judgmental because time doesn't work that way. We were all 16 writing shitty songs.
Yeah, it all starts there.
Shitty songs,
well,
you know.
Yeah. Underbaked.
I thought they rocked back then.
I thought they were great. I knew a few chords, and boy,
what was your first band called?
My first band, I was playing drums with my cousins. It was called Tigers in the City.
That is so much better than ours.
No, what was yours?
Well, first it was Emergency Exit.
Okay.
Because we saw the sticker on the back of the bus. And then it was Serial Heroes, but with a C. My friend played on his desktop computer this game called Worms Armageddon. And you'd have to name your troop and the different worms that were in your squadron.
Right.
They look like little penises kind of wandering around the screen, firing guns and grenades at each other. And his troop was called the Serial Heroes. And it was like the heroes of cereal.
Yeah.
Like Tony the Tiger.
Cool.
Like maybe he had enough in his troop to have Snap, Crackle, and Pop in there, but maybe just two of them. Count Chocula.
Nice.
Lucky from Lucky Charms. I'm kind of Smacks. What was the frog?
Yeah,
the frog.
What was that?
I forget.
Did he have a name? Yeah.
So anyway, that was our next band name.
That's awesome.
And it was kind of a play on serial killers, maybe.
Right.
Or that's what people thought.
Yeah.
Serial heroes. But it was serial.
And it was based on a video game.
It was just based on my friend's weird brain. Like he in his brain was like the serial heroes are these like mascots of different sugary cereals, which is true.
It's true.
Those are heroes. That's what I'm
all
here.
owned by the same company
to say. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Those are heroes.
Yeah. But yeah, no, those early bands like that you're in are so formative. You know,
what'd you guys sound like?
It was like reggae mixed with like progressive rock.
Wow. Who are you listening to? Like Bob
a lot of Mars Volta.
Mars Volta. Cool.
Yeah, that was huge at that time. So 2005, I was like 15.
15.
But it was like a watered down. We don't really know how to do that, but we're trying.
I think we started a band at 13 or 14 and it was like Blink.
Right.
I was writing like pop punk stuff. I was listening to like the Atari, Sum 41, Blink, like all that like Warped Tour stuff.
Yeah. I was that's when I started learning drums.
But then in high school, we
time to learn drums.
Stayed in the same band, but then like started listening to the Grateful Dead.
Oh, cool.
And so we like started like sounding more like jammy Ben Folds because I was still writing like singer-songwriter stuff on piano mostly, but playing with like a dude who was like had a hemp necklace.
Right.
You know, so it started like morphing into that. And then in college it was just like experimental.
You're still a big MGMT. Grateful Dead fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I never had that relationship with that band, but I like them.
Man, at 16, it's kind of like that 432 Hertz thing.
Yeah.
There's something about the Grateful Dead's music that like when I hear those tones, I'm just like smiling. And like and it's also similar to what we were talking about with ambient and the way you engage with it. Like I don't know all the words.
Right.
But I've heard those songs a lot. You just kind of go there.
You're kind of just in it.
What album did you put on? Oh, cool. Yeah, I like that one too. Like it's kind of just a mood.
Dude, if you go to the Santa Barbara Bowl, we have a statue of Jerry's Jerry's hand. And, you know,
without the finger.
Yeah.
It'd be so funny if there's like a statue of the missing finger.
No, just like a nub like that. And I went there the other day. I've been to the bowl a couple times this year, which is like, I don't love the lineup all the time there.
Sure.
But this year, like I've gotten like free tickets and stuff. So I've gone and I'm like, every time like, there's Jerry's hand, man. Yeah. Like on a big like bronze statue.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's like a pilgrimage almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
They have a hat that has his hand on it.
Hell yeah.
Just like a little circle with it. Yeah, no, I mean the Grateful Dead has been, and when it was cool,
right,
to like them, it was great timing.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was great timing for me.
Had like a resurgence.
Yeah, it was like kind of like hype beastie.
Right.
It was kind of like high menswear, related to John Mayer, kind of dipped into skate, kind of had its place within American iconography because the art is so good.
Yeah.
And the music is so unoffensive.
The brand.
And it's so old at this point that it, and tie-dye, and like we just had this resurgence of the Dead.
Right.
And it was
a lot of different like crossroads.
A-okay with me.
Yeah.
I was already there and had been since high school. So it was just kind of this, it's like if all of a sudden Fish became cool.
Yeah.
It would be worn proudly because so many people like Fish or Dave.
Yeah.
But it was like one of those because enough time had passed where it's like vintage enough.
Totally.
Where we were like, yeah, we can celebrate this now. And it will get there with Fish and Dave. If not, it's already kind of getting there.
Goose.
I saw Dave at Willie Nelson's 90th and he was adorable.
Really?
He like had knocked off their
pictures from that.
Yeah. He had like he's like over the years I think felt insecure about that. And he sang this beautiful song like really.
That's awesome.
Harder, like just like his voice still, but like, and he was like, I'm really nervous about being here. Like, and he was sweet.
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like now that I'm not this judgy kid anymore who like identifies with hating Dave.
Totally.
Like he's just an adorable guy.
Totally.
And I wish him the best.
Yeah.
And if people want to wear a Dave shirt, I think instead of being like this, I'll be like, cool, man.
That's it. Yeah. I think it's true. I think you have to like just like lean in and be like, dude, this is the kind of shit I like. Like
let people like what they like, except for Dream Theater. Let people like what they like.
I did NAMM this year. It was like my final like hurrah with Seymour Duncan before I quit. And I went to NAMM. I saw the dude from Dream Theater there.
Oh, nice. You could identify him.
Oh, yeah. He has a shaved head. Well, I didn't really...
That means you liked Dream Theater.
At one point, when I was first learning how to play drums, yeah. Such a big... And, like, I was already in the Mars Volta... What?
Can you play drums like that?
Oh, hell no. No, I can't do, like, double pedal stuff.
Yeah.
My drum teacher's like, do you want to learn that? I was like, I'll try it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm never going to be in a metal band, so I don't need this shit.
Yes. I'm wearing a Yes t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. Well, there's just, I think it's a production thing and a songwriting thing.
Totally.
Like I love challenging progressive music. I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way you present it, and Dream Theater just never did it for me.
Oh, no. It's a little cheese.
But the way that it was wrapped up was
immediately,
I was like, no, not for me.
Yeah.
But it carried a lot of weight amongst like Berkeley kids and like the music heads.
Highly technical.
Yeah.
NAMM, kind of crowd.
So I think Dream Theater will have a resurgence. In like 20 years, like a Dream Theater tee will be on like whatever eBay is in 20 years.
Yeah,
for
Target.
like 3 million credits.
Dude, there's so many band tees at Target.
Are there?
Yeah, I go there because my girlfriend loves it and I'll go with her and I'm like, dude, there's so many.
I go to a small Target.
Yeah.
So they'll only have like the Grateful Dead and the Beatles, Kiss.
Yeah.
But I worked in clothing for almost a decade.
Really?
I was first on the retail floor at Urban Outfitters, like just like folding t-shirts and getting yelled at and like having anxiety attacks in my early 20s.
Right.
But then I got plucked to be on the other side of that machine and kind of sell to places like Urban Outfitters, sell designs. And we had all this, so licensing house. So I had all these bands and I'd work with all these artists, all these graphic designers. And I don't work in I work kind of in Photoshop, but I suck at it. And I would be like, I want this shirt on this color and I want this cool artwork. And then I'd get it cleared by the company. And then I'd sell it to Urban, or we'd have our own line and stuff like that. And so I got to deal with like this Grateful Dead resurgence, being on that side of it too. Cool. And like being like, I'm a Grateful Dead fan. I know what a cool Grateful Dead t-shirt is. Let's sell this stuff while it's hot. And we had a great Grateful Dead business for, the back half of while I was there because of this.
Nice.
We could
something.
Sell.
What is a great Grateful Dead shirt? Is it just that skull, or is it the bears, or is there an alternative to those commonly seen?
From my perspective, I like repurposed clothing. I don't think there's a reason to buy new clothing. Right. It's just environmental waste. So I tend to think that a cool Grateful Dead shirt is a pre-owned shirt. I love shit from the 90s. The artwork then was super clunky, but it was still, while we were like, it's not digital prints. It was like, thick, chunky prints.
Totally.
and they have a wear on them, and they're like part of history because that's been sweated in, and some dude did acid in that shirt.
It's been washed a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And the art back then was like, it wasn't this licensing game. Right. It was just people printing t-shirts. So you have a lot of artists who would just make t-shirts and put them on the lot, and a lot of them, it was this culture of like spoofing American iconography from McDonald's. Do you remember that era of like, you know, like different Starbucks logo? But it was kind of that, but it's aged well, and like the fish shirts have aged well too, like the ones that like look like Subaru logos. Totally. Like that's all cool. So I think I think I have an obsession within music and within art and within nostalgia in general of liking old stuff. So it's rarely a new shirt, even though my job was to make new shirts. But the way I do is I'd make it look old. I'd wash it a bunch of times before we sold it to the company. And there'd be different like sizes and size variances. It was a nightmare, but the product was better. It looked more authentic. So. But it was a trick.
So people loved it.
Yeah, it was a trick.
Man, it's a different kind of world. It's I don't know, man. It's the commerce side of music.
People saw us at Academy at Light at Permanent Records and said it was a jam band.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
I think it's because we got there with the psych thing. Right. We played with a drummer where the first 10 minutes was like just splashy cymbals, tones, but then he threw in like kind of a krautrock thing. Yeah. And so everyone adapted and was, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah.
And it was experimental.
Yeah, it's weird, improvised. So it's all improvised,
jam,
right?
Yeah. So, and I said that on the Instagram post. I said, "Are we a jam band? Are we an ambient ensemble? Are we a waste of time? Like, are we a cult?"
Yeah, what are we doing? The cult, is that what you want? Is this what this is all about, having a cult?
No, because my beliefs and my philosophy about life are very non-invasive.
Yeah.
And they're very like
no one has to be
in
the ambient band.
Do what you want to do. I love you. Love everybody. Totally. Forgive everybody.
Yeah.
Let's stop killing animals.
Forgive yourself.
Yeah. Like, so I don't think if there was there's no cult, but
that's
it's
good.
It's something
good to have that on the record.
But it's something cool to aesthetically embrace. Like I was thinking for the press photos, like if we're all in robes and shit.
Totally.
Like why not give the impression that we are, because we're not, and it's that makes it more of a marketing package.
Sure, a little branding,
right? Like
a little Edward Sharp, wasn't that a cult?
Yeah. I don't know if it was.
No, but that's the.
But I know a dude from that circle, and he's a heady trip.
Yeah.
Crash Richard.
Crash
Richard.
Okay, yeah.
Good songwriter too.
Nice.
That dude's a trip.
Nice.
So I would guess that the rest of that band is a trip as well.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that was a moment, man.
Well, yeah, I wasn't around for it.
Yeah,
I wasn't around for it, but it's pervasive. I feel it.
There's still a lot of roots.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that Foster the People, those bands in LA that really popped in the late 2000s, early 2010s. There's a lot of roots of people who are like, oh, I worked with them.
Yeah, and Gardens feels like the underbelly of that.
Yeah,
like the indie version of it.
Totally.
Because they're pervasive too. I still my buddy Costa now plays in Gardens.
Oh, cool.
Like
I haven't seen them in a long time.
It all flows, kind of.
I just hung out with Adam the other night, and
wonderful.
I love Adam.
Who else have you seen at mutual friends?
Oh, Adam was the first person I want. Joey's good.
Tell me about Joey.
Joey, I saw Joey last night. I went to his job. He works at a bar.
Is the same bar?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like kind of dark in there.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's doing good, man. He's just drumming, living. Cool. He's in a relationship
with
Sarah.
Liddy.
Did you meet Sarah Liddy? Yeah, you met her. Okay, good. Then you're already caught up.
Liddy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and now with Maxton down there.
Right, he just messaged me. He said he's moving to Santa Barbara.
Cool. Is Eric still in circles?
Eric's in Eagle Rock.
Okay.
But I think he just bought a house.
Fantastic.
In Huntington? I don't know. I shouldn't put that out there, but somewhere crazy.
So I think once I get the musical, so two things. Maxton already knows is probably working on this. Academy of Light, Santa Barbara. Definitely want to come down and play in Santa Barbara with the Academy with the ambient ensemble. Yeah. My dream is to do it on a beach.
Ooh.
I don't know if you ever have seen shows in Santa Barbara where that's
on the beach
possible, but the idea of open air and these pulsing tones and people like watching the waves, like it's on the bucket list.
On the sand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you could do it. There's drum circles and shit.
Right. We can even do it acoustic and bring like battery powered speakers and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The amplified music part is where I don't know.
No, it'd be mostly people with
acoustic
like flutes,
guitars,
violins,
flutes.
acoustic
Yes,
guitars,
I think you could totally
and then a
pull that
couple
off.
speakers, battery powered with a couple of synths plugged in.
Oh, okay, cool. I bet you could probably pull that off. I bet you
could.
could.
So that's A. And then B, after I get my musical workshop together in LA, I want to bring it to Santa
What's the
Barbara.
workshop?
So it's just like basically a workshop version of the final stage musical where it's like core.
Yeah.
So it's like pit band is on stage like rock band.
Yeah.
No, not really strings, winds or anything. And then it's me and a dancer in a small set, like just like small props to and costume.
Right.
But it's not like the stage, the lights, you know, what I aim to do with it.
Yeah.
But the workshop version is tourable. And so I want to bring like a van of the cast and come down and do it in a small theater in Santa
there's
Barbara.
a super small theater that you could do it in. That it doesn't have like a stage. It's just like it's like where they do like a lot of dances.
Cool.
And it has like bleacher seating, but they're nice seating. So it's next to the Panda Express.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
They have a
Maxon
vegan,
will know.
Have a vegan orange chicken that I haven't tried yet. So that'll be that.
But Maxon will know. He knows that like little theater
I'll be like,
upstairs.
What's the Panda Express theater?
Yeah, it's like upstairs. Yeah,
and you said it's not a stage?
No, it's just flat. Dante played there once. We did.
Is there any? Does it look like a theater inside?
Like in the
Are there any like small like curtains, cute stage theaters in
Santa
Barbara?
the stage isn't. What I meant that by no stage is that it's not like lifted. It's just a flat surface.
Okay.
And then it's got the curtains and all that. And
it does. Okay.
Yeah. And then the seating.
Perfect.
Oh, what the fuck? I would look it up, but I don't remember.
No, that's fine.
The name of it, but
that's fine.
Dante played there once. Yeah, we played before a dance recital. This is like 2011.
We played cha-cha. We played Los Globos once.
Yeah.
And it was right before one of those like high school prom nights that they do or whatever, where there's like a line down the block of all the high school kids like all dressed ready to grind with each other. It was so funny, dude. Like there was nobody there for our show. It was one of those weird situations where you're leaving your show that no one was at, and there's a line out the door.
God damn it, man. Weird. I hate that.
Yeah, and that's another thing about the performance thing is even if you are a natural performer, the amount of strength and I value you so much, performers. The idea of going out and doing that for a small group of people that are mostly unengaged with what you're doing and putting yourself out there on the line. Like,
right.
I don't care if you're like a celebrity or famous or a good performer or not. Right. There's a lot to that it's been freeing to be a studio guy to not necessarily need to engage with a lot. And I give a lot of people a lot of credit for doing it, especially those who are not experiencing success.
Right.
At least with success and people screaming along to your lyrics, you leave the stage and you're like, okay, well, I gave it all, put it all on the line, but I got something back, hopefully. And some people say after a while that doesn't even work anymore.
I don't know if it does.
Yeah. But the idea of going out there and doing that and getting nothing, night after night, with your acoustic guitar singing about your last relationship and having no one talk to you after the show and people talk through your set, I commend you. I don't stop doing it if you can muster the courage. Like, you know, I just think in my life right now, like these artists are not being valued enough, and I'd like to watch that happen before I really engage with it in that way. And until then, I'll be a character.
Don't.
So it doesn't sting.
Yeah, it hurts a little.
It still stings.
Nah, man. I think, I don't know. You give so much of yourself on that stage, and you just can only hope that people react to it and that people like, you know, come back or whatever. And
I just think it takes a lot of courage.
I like it, man. Yeah, the fact that someone would follow you on Instagram is insane to me.
I know. Too bad they won't see anything you post.
Yeah. But the idea that I want to follow this person, I like them so much that I am now going to have them in my feed sometimes. Like, it's an honor, man. It's fun. It's still fun to keep doing this and playing music. And music is, it's supposed to be fun.
And
at the end of the day, it's
if it's not fun, don't do it. Yeah, or if it's not fun, figure out how to get yourself back there. Yeah, because a lot of what we talk about as artists is connecting on this common ground of a lot of the struggles and a lot of the suffering that goes along with it. But there was a lot of what we talked about today too that outlines the fact that this is it's just part of it, because there's no way I'm not going to do music. Totally. And it's just not it's a choice ultimately, but it's not one ever that I'm going to complain enough to decide not to choose to make music. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. And the rest is just navigating like the societal problems around it, maybe.
Yeah.
And the
economy, the industry and economy,
which is fine. And I think, if we were in sales at the same company, we'd be at the water cooler talking about the issues with that. Yeah. Every job. Yeah.
Spotify streams are down. It doesn't seem like we're getting a lot of love from Spotify right now.
Labels do talk like that.
Sure.
But I mean, I think it's, me too. And I think it's just these systems are broken everywhere. Right. And we're just engaged in a certain system that if you're out there and you watch this show or listen to this podcast, I'm guessing you relate to it. So it's like, even though we're pseudo complaining, I think it makes people feel less alone to know that, hey, here we are, we're doing it. We're not going to stop, but these things exist. Yeah. They're not things that we can just be like, well, if you can't muscle through it, then I've had people where their art is a crippling thing for them. Yeah. Where the idea of them releasing a song and not getting attention from it or not getting likes from it or not getting engagement from it is life-threatening. Yeah. And what I'd say to that is, you're set up to fail. That's not you.
Don't
That's
think,
not you.
It's perspective switch there.
I used to think about that, like, if my music was really as good as the Beatles, then it would just shoot to the top. Yeah. Why do I have to work so hard? Yeah. But I was like, oh, wait. The Beatles story is so complicated and so complex, and their shot to stardom was so rare, and it pushed them to create better stuff. They're the only people. It's like this is all a science experiment.
And like, you think you have to put yourself in the context of that time, how many bands were just jealous of them. Yeah. Like, I want that. Yeah. And it's like, this is not new. These feelings are not new. It's just the industry has changed, or the landscape of everything has changed. But I was going to fucking say something.
Well, it's our choice to persist.
Yeah.
And so this is, it's nice to even talk to you about that, because, we're not alone, and we have each other, and we both experience this, but it's not stopping us.
And like, to the point you were saying about like us, quote unquote bitching on a podcast about being an artist, but like, these are conversations that would happen in a green room. Yeah. That if you and I were at a show or just getting lunch or whatever, we would talk about these same things. So you might as well put them on fucking tape, not tape, but you know what I mean? But like, record them. And so someone who's like in the middle of the United States, or it's like, oh, okay, so it is like, these feelings I'm feeling right now are valid.
I think so.
And I think, oh, well, Ryan Pollie's in a great spot. Dante's in a great spot. So, oh, no. We're still doing the work, loving the process, feeling, fulfilled, but this is the reality. This is the other side of it. Yeah. And that your feelings are valid and it's real. A lot of us are feeling this way. Yeah. And we don't know how to get out of it.
And I don't think art should have been a business in the first place. Right. And I get that it has to be, but like, try to, it is a choice to try to, there are so many obstacles in your way as an artist, but they're all, you can overcome them, you and yourself. Yeah. In whatever way feels good to you. And that could be, and we've been part of the rare generation where dollar bargain bin records have come back. Yeah. And these lives of these albums that have been lost have been remastered, restudied, re-released, and enjoyed. I found, speaking of ambient music, I found Japanese ambient artists that I would have never found without the help of AI, computers, Spotify, all these things. They're useful tools. Algorithms. They just don't... the monetary aspect of it, they don't value the artist, but they are useful tools, and we can make them better. Some version of this will exist down the road. It's just the idea of like, if you're contributing art, you should be, if we have a money-based system right now, then that you should get money for that. Totally. And if we're not on a money-based system, okay, but we can't just be in a non-money-based system in this sliver of these jokers who go around contributing their songs and we all laugh at them and treat them like shit, where in other places you can make more money working at McDonald's or signing up to be a garbage man. And at least that's contributed. You're providing a service and we're giving you money, as shitty as the money is. Whereas in art, it's like this nebulous, will you come play on this session because we're friends? Right. Because we're all going through this, how am I going to pay you if I don't get anything? Yeah. And that's a tricky thing for me as a producer. Yeah. How am I going to charge artists thousands of dollars that they're making at a coffee shop and not receiving from their listeners, their label, anyone? They have to get it from their coffee shop job or their uncle or whatever. They have to come up with it. And that's why there's this class thing in art too, because there's more people who have the money who can create art with the money that they have than some kid who's trying to make money to pay for them to make their album sound how they want it to sound.
Yeah. Because if you think about the shows make sense. People buy tickets to the shows. You get money from the tickets. You can pay your band, whatever. But when it comes to recording and all the other stuff, people gotta come through the door. It's like that's like
it's the business model. Makes sense.
That's the chain. And there's moments where like, we'll give you a guarantee, and then you're like, wait, I could have made more if I didn't take the guarantee. There's situations like that too.
There are bars that use us to get people in the door to experience their bar.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the business model.
No one hangs out at a venue.
No,
no one.
The idea of starting a music venue is the worst business idea ever, and the only way that they can survive is to exploit us by making money off sales of drinks, getting people in the door through us, and giving us a little bit of a stipend.
Totally.
But usually when I pay my band, it's like $50 or like $100.
That's real.
Usually in LA. Yeah. And I'm not coming at anybody.
Right.
These are systematic issues. I don't think any one venue is going to come out and say, we're changing the system. Yeah. I'm doing some promoting where I'm trying to treat artists well.
Right.
And that's the first step, is coming into a venue and it's all trickled down, because if a bar knows our business is really the bar. Yeah. We're using them, then they'll treat you like that.
Yeah.
And that's been around forever. So, I mean, it's this reframe, that it's just treating people better. Yeah. And I'm sure this is reflective, not just in music.
No, it's probably everywhere. It's everywhere.
Just like being kinder, treating people with equity. Yeah. And
I heard a quote this week too about the hiring process. It's like you hire for attitude, and then like train for skill, or it's like you don't hire someone because I can do this and I can do that. It's like, well, that person ended up being an asshole and a liar and this and this and that, when you should have focused on like the person you had great energy with in that interview. Yeah. And if there's stuff they can't do, well, they'll learn. They'll learn it. So it's like a company would work better if we're just like, these are all solid people and they work well together and we're all like in it together.
We're afraid that people who are left to focus energy will do nothing with it. Yeah. But that's impossible. I mean, there's rest. We all need rest. But the idea is that everyone will find a useful and healthy way to channel energy, whether that's taking care of your family unit, whether that's drawing pictures of flowers, whether that's photographing your friends, whether it's falling in love with music or baking bread for the town, or what you will find this path because we like connecting with others and taking care of each other. And someone will be like, I like picking up the trash on the streets, and that makes me feel good. Like, we will find these things, but the fear is that you need to be directed into how to spend that energy. Oh, cool, you're good at TikTok? Well, I'm going to hire you to spend 8 hours of every single day for the rest of your life doing this skill. But I don't think that's how it should work. Like we all are we have potential to be such expressive, wonderful creatures, and we're putting these boxes to do these one things for the rest of our waking lives. Yeah. And then we go home wondering, like, should we switch? Like, that's too much. Like all this stuff. And art at least provides you with the recontextualization of that, of being like, okay, well, art's around. It's not really a job. It's just it's just this nebulous weird thing.
It's a thing that's just created. Yeah. And I enjoy it and I consume it.
Yeah. And
so
so I think making art helps you on that self-development process. Right. Whether you're just doing it in your free time or whether you consider yourself a career artist, whatever it is, like, humans are expressive and are making art in every minute. Totally. I don't know. It's such a music's such a beautiful thing to awaken us and aid us on this journey, whatever it is. So I think we just need to reframe how we listen to things and how we treat the music itself. It's not just trash. It's like there's something there if you direct your attention to it. Yeah. But we've learned how to be at a restaurant and tune out music, or be in the car and tune out music. Music's just this accompanying thing that we've actually trained ourselves not to listen to. So we need to refocus and put in effort to listen and to hear what these expressions are, not just treat it like it's whatever.
I just got on my first Spotify playlist.
Congrats.
Crazy, right? It's something I've been
The
wanting.
overlords.
Yeah, they finally accepted me.
I heard there was a switch.
Algorithm switch?
No, there was a switch between the gatekeeper.
Oh, really?
Someone went out,
So
someone went
knows.
in.
Oh, shit.
Maybe they like
I noticed
you.
maybe they like me, and there's people I know. I was like, I listen to all these
And
songs.
all those relationships at every indie label, they're like,
how'd you do that?
do you want to get coffee? Do you want to get coffee?
Yeah.
Do you want to get coffee to the new person? He's like,
Oh,
whoa.
my God. Oh, dude.
Yo.
And so I noticed that happened, and it's the feel good dinner playlist. And then I was like, this is so cool. Like people guys, and then I thought about it. I was like,
you, robots.
oh, you mean the music people listen to when they're not even paying attention and they're cooking dinner?
Not necessarily.
Okay, to change my perspective on this.
Because in plenty of studies with meditation, and I've had to learn this through my experience with ADD, there are plenty of things that allow your ears to open up and hear things and focus on them while you are occupying your hands with something else. This is why it's common for members of an ensemble to feel a moment of transcendence while playing with each other, because you are occupying your hands while creating your sound and listening to what's being created at the same time. Right. So cooking is a classic thing where it's not being talked over. Conversation requires a lot of brain energy. Right. But something that's automated, like driving, that's like being like, oh, I'm on a driving playlist. Yeah. They're ignoring me. I think cooking is actually one
similar
of the
to
top
driving.
5 activities that still exists where people listen to music in the right way. Sorry to say, I hate right or wrong, but in the way that I believe music should be.
Right. Okay, well, good. That makes me feel better about that. Because at first I was like, it's just on.
No, for me, I can play video games. I can read, depending on the music, not songs. But songs cooking, I can cook to songs.
Yeah.
Because I can listen to it and just kind of,
And there is a rhythm. And, cooking is an art as well. And
true.
They say cooking is an art, baking is a science. You don't like that one either?
Science is art.
Science is art. Science is also art.
Science is God.
Yeah. But like there's a rhythm to cooking, and I think music does aid to that. So
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So everybody out there, change the way you listen to music.
Yeah,
and the way you treat artists. Just because we're on Spotify and we look cool on Instagram does not mean we're doing okay financially.
And I will say that I hit you up to come do this, and there is nothing really to promote. It was just more of like, can we just talk? Because we haven't talked to each other in forever.
Yeah.
And I love these type of episodes. There's like nothing like, what about the record? Let's talk about the record.
No.
And there's nothing wrong with those. Like, people want to talk about their art. I'm down to be
such a beautiful space to provide us a space to catch up.
Yeah.
Get deep. Have time.
Right.
There's
no rush.
I prefer this type of connection, even with cameras out. To
you forget them
like
after
being
a
at
while.
a show. And
yeah. Oh yeah.
And being like, how have you been?
Yeah. You're like talking like super loud.
And then we stand next to each other and watch a band.
Yeah.
And then text each other, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again, man.
But this is like,
this is
if anything, this puts in more productive relationship, friendship energy than any of those shows would provide. So we jump forward in that relationship dynamic, I think, each time we do this.
Oh, totally.
Like I feel 100%. Like, you're a good friend of mine that I don't see very often.
Totally, yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And so
then we get to catch up, and then it feels like, oh, good.
And thanks for providing. And people do this. I have this show, this like bi-weekly show at the Fable in Eagle Rock.
Yeah.
And people just come to it, and they're like, sometimes they say to me like, man, like, I don't even know who the bands are sometimes. I'll just come because like you provide this space to have a really good time and like to talk to people, meet new people, and it feels really good in here. And I think that's what you're doing too. You're creating community in your own way,
right?
By literally making a room where we can come and get deep and hang out,
sweat it out,
connect as people.
Yeah.
And transcend through the amount of heat. I love that this is filmed.
Sure.
It's like we're on Hot Ones.
Dude, but we're the hot ones, man. Like, yeah, I am getting pretty sweaty.
All right, but let's call it then.
Let's call it, man. Dude, thanks for talking to me. It's been a while. I'm glad to see you.
Oh, man, and thank you for talking with me. And I realize that this like is helpful for me to get out there too, because you've been just killing it with creating community in Santa Barbara, and now everybody who loves you and respects you from the kind person that you are now sees that we're friends and can watch us interact and get introduced to me in this very human way. So that's like just as good, if not, I don't know, good is a weird word, but it's like sharing a song or something.
Totally.
It's like a different way to connect. So thanks for the opportunity to just be me.
Fuck yeah, man. Dude, thank you.
Of course. listen to Dante Elephante.